Yanni, I understand earlier, just before we started, that you've done a poll with your patients today regarding the topic of whether beauty is more than skin deep. Would you like to share some of those findings with us?
Yeah. So this morning, my social media is mostly about my kids actually. Then somebody told me, no, you should use the digital media, social media to have discussion. That's what it's for. I said, okay, let's try. So since I was going to have this talk today, so I posted a question, and it's like, my first question is beauty skin deep, and I had a few replies, and they were all very interesting perspective for today's chat.
Okay.
One of the reply was, no, beauty is not skin deep. Beauty is also about attitude, your personality. Um, and I found that very interesting. From a employer's point of view, when I do an interview, there will be people who look better than others, right? But what actually leaves an impression after the interview is always the person's attitude and personality. So that was a good point made. And another person replied, um, he said, no, beauty is not skin deep. Beauty is also about your lifestyle, about your diet, how you radiate from in to out because of lifestyle and diet. And I replied, I told her, I said, yeah, I totally agree with you. If a person is eating badly, for example, having 3 cans of Coke a day instead of 3 proper meals, they will look terrible. They will probably be very tired as well. And of course, tiredness is linked to sleep, right? If somebody's having 7 hours of sleep versus 2 hours of sleep, they will look very different. So lifestyle and diet does make a very big difference in your inner radiance. So I thought those are very interesting, thought-provoking answers, and I really appreciated it. So if they are on this, they're following us, then I say thank you. Thank you for your replies.
Cool. Yeah, I suppose that's all part and parcel of beauty as a concept that is more than skin deep. It's your inner beauty as well, right? What kind of a person you are, your character and your personality also matter. Lina, you've been writing about beauty for a while and other things as well. What's your take on beauty and whether it's just a superficial thing?
I actually looked up the word beauty in the dictionary. The definition is any shape, form of or color that is pleasing to the sight. I think that's a very surface definition of the word. To me, I would link beauty to the director George Cukor. He was the Academy Award winner for Best Director for the movie My Fair Lady. And in a documentary, he actually was trying to portray that, when an actor tries to emote, he didn't use any words, he just used this gesture. So to me, that captures the spirit and essence of beauty that probably cannot be defined, but can be felt by the other person.
Okay. Pebbles, as a student of psychology, what's your take on that?
I definitely agree with the points made so far about beauty being more than skin deep. I mean, because it's like what I would like to call it. There's always like a kind of vibe that you feel when you find someone attractive or not. And I think it's quite strange. Like we use beauty to like describe, like you can say like a cup is beautiful or something, like something looks beautiful. I think that's one aspect of beauty that we can talk about today. But definitely, I think personality and how you portray yourself, the things you do, how you interact with people definitely make an impact, especially on a psychological kind of view. If you want to look into that, yeah, it's part of like attraction and how, because we are social creatures, right? So interactions and stuff definitely play a part.
Well, we're less social these days, I think, but yeah, generally we still are social. But so Pebbles, when you've finished all your studies and you've got your master's and you're thinking of getting out there in the working world, how would you approach that? I mean, when it comes to job interviews, right, for instance, what would your take be in terms of connecting in the beauty space with your interviewer or potential employer?
Or like in terms of how I present myself,
Yeah.
I think it would definitely depend on what kind of interview I'm in, and who the employer is. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I would say like let's say you are like applying for like a modeling job, right? I would definitely say like in that case, superficial beauty would be kind of more, not really more important, but people would look into it more versus like if I'm applying for like a office job, let's say, right? People would tend to look more into like how organized you are or like how you present yourself more. Yeah.
Mm. So Yanni, when you've been dealing with patients who come in for whatever treatment they may be coming in for, um, what's the level of self-confidence you see in them? Is the lack of self-confidence a factor in them wanting to do certain things?
I think this is a very good point. Actually, from what we've heard so far, everybody is looking for to be attracted or to see something beautiful, whether it's it personality or attitude or energy or vibe. So it becomes very difficult when you find yourself not beautiful. And I think it's not helping. I think COVID, the Zoom, the FaceTime, we are spending time looking at ourselves more. Sometimes we are forced to do it. So, for example, I spend very little time looking at myself like that. And then suddenly I'm sitting here and looking at myself straight on for the last 15 minutes. And if I was a critical person, I'll start to find flaws. So I would divide finding yourself not beautiful into like three categories in my patient. When they come in, I'll know immediately if they fall under A category, their skin is not healthy. They have acne, they have pigmentation, their skin is too dry, their skin is too red, their skin is too black. Every color can happen on the skin to anybody. And it's something that they have to hide. So maybe they have to use concealer or they have to use bangs, something hair shape, hair, whatever to cover. And sometimes during this time, you spend 3 months at home with no makeup on, you start to see it for real. Like, oh, I really have bad skin, and it bothers them. So something that you can see all the time, it does is like ramification. It can come again and again to your brain. I have acne, and of course it will affect them if they have acne scars. It will affect them more, and it will affect their self-esteem, how they feel people look at them. Then it becomes a negative cycle of self-opinion. So somebody come in, their skin is not healthy. They need help. Category number 2, they are in the middle age range and they are starting to feel signs of aging. And somebody who is young is beautiful. You look at a 5-year-old, whether it's a round face, small face, tall or short 5-year-old, they are all cute, they're all beautiful because they're young. So when they start noticing signs of aging, they start to become worried, and that affects their self-esteem. If they have lost a job, it will be even worse because I'm 45 and I'm going for a job interview with a 35 and I look like a 50. So my literal 10-year age gap is now 15 years, So the signs of aging when they come in, usually their presenting complaint is, I don't want to look so tired, or I want to look less saggy. That's usually the opening. And if you really spend a lot of time talking to them and the challenges that they face, be it at home, amongst their peers at work, then you'll realize that aging is something that you cannot really hide. And it's something that it's again a negative cycle, right? So can I do this? Should I go for the course? Should I go to study? Should I go find a new job? Should I go for that promotion? But and already older. But we know our lifespan is about 87 for female, 83 for men. So 45 is in the middle. You have more than enough time. So sometimes they come in to get that little bit of a boost or make them look a bit more energetic, a bit more youthful. And then the last category is the category where everybody perceive beauty. I want to have the sharpest nose or the sharpest chin. And if I have a very sharp chin or a very sharp nose, then I'll look very defined and I'll look very good and very beautiful. And I always draw this analogy to the short, tall gentleman pay, a shorter man will have less opportunity than a taller man in terms of corporate ladder. So there is a perspective that if I look better, I will get a better job or I get better partner, stuff like that. But I actually think that I don't see many of that in practice. I actually see a lot more who suffer with unhealthy skin, a lot more who suffer with the signs of aging than the person that wants to look perfect, especially in Singapore. Maybe in another environment, another country, Korea, Thailand, maybe I would have more of the patients looking for that sharp nose and sharp chin. But in actual fact, in Singapore, we have quite a pragmatic population, and many people who come in just want to feel better because their skin is really not very healthy or because of signs of aging.
If you were to apportion ratios to the type A, B, and C, what would the numbers be roughly?
A
What
would
percentage?
be 50%. B would be 30%.
Okay.
And 30 to, I mean, sometimes the unhealthy skin will move on to the anti-aging. So there's a crossover there. And the pure, just want a perfect facial shape or features is 15% to 20%.
Okay. So Singapore is becoming it's an aging society. I mean, so you're going to see more people probably falling into the aging B category, right? Are your approaches different to each of these, or are there some general principles that apply across the board?
Category A is about treating the condition, right? So it's about acne or pigmentation. So there are targeted treatments with evidence-based medicine. Category B is anti-aging. So there's a wider topic. It's about reversing skin age, collagen, Botox fillers, a bit more complex, I feel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So over the years, Lina, you've been covering this space. Have you noticed trends that you would like to share with us?
Yes, actually, I think in Asia, whitening is huge because there is this preconceived notion that if you are fair, you're beautiful. I've also watched this documentary where the women, they inject themselves with some dangerous thing that actually is for whitening, and they go to that extreme extent just to look fair. I don't think this will just fade away. I think it will remain for a good next 50 years, the whitening trend, so to speak.
I mean, you have social media which can cover a lot of ground in this area. Don't you think that some of these whitening myths can be, addressed and maybe dissuade people from doing that sort of thing? I mean, just learn to accept yourself for who you are. You're born with a hand of cards. Just work with it. Isn't that something that could be applied?
I think right now in the modeling industry, there is a lot more inclusivity. So you have a lot more Black models. I think they look beautiful because their skin, African models and African American models. Their skin is just black gold. It's beautiful. And some other models, they are more tanned. So you have a diverse range of looks on the international catwalk right now, as opposed to, I suppose, 40, 50 years ago, where it's the blonde hair, fair skin, that kind of type. So I think we are moving into diversity, but not at a pace that is fast enough, but we are getting there slowly. Yeah.
The rise of Asia will probably help in that regard, because the last century was about America and Europe. So the rise of the fair skin was the way to go. But I think things will change as the economic shifts also take place and Asia becomes more dominant. Pebbles, while you're studying all your psychology, do these sort of issues come up? Do you tackle these issues as well?
We don't really tackle these issues, but I was wondering if this might be a generational thing, because at least for my generation, we don't feel the need to be fair. In fact, like most people would want to go to the beach to get a tan, because when you're tan, you look more toned and like more thin. So I was just wondering if like the whitening thing might be a generational thing. Yeah, because my grandmother tells me all the time, like, oh, don't go out to the sun, you know, like carry an umbrella. You're gonna get tan, like you're gonna get wrinkles, just put on sunscreen. And my mom as well, like she carries an umbrella everywhere she goes. But like, or at least for
It's
us,
a good weapon as well. I mean, if
yeah,
someone
like
tries
everywhere,
anything,
like
bang.
oh, bring an umbrella, yeah, like going to the supermarket, yeah, just bring an umbrella. I'm like, yeah, but for me, I don't see the need to. So it's just like maybe asking you guys if it might be a generational thing, or like if Dr. Yanni like sees it in like her patients and stuff.
It's not, I wouldn't use the word generation, it's an age thing. If you're less than 25, you probably haven't experienced a single drop of aging. And you probably haven't had any complications of sun yet, because the body is, the young recover very well, and a lot of the damage that is done to our body, our DNA, doesn't present until a certain age. And we really start to see significant aging from the age of 25 to 45, and it accelerates for a lady from 45 to 55, okay? And this is fact. So if you are going to suffer the repercussions of sun exposure, example, pigmentation and wrinkles, these are direct effects of sun, you won't experience it until you are maybe 32 or 33 after you had the first kid. And then suddenly at that point, you notice you have a big patch here, and then you're like, oh, I need to conceal this. So every morning you spend extra 15 minutes trying to conceal it. And you go online on Shopee to buy 10,000 different creams to lighten this one spot. And eventually you fail everything. Then you went to the doctor, you paid her a lot of money to get rid of that spot. Then after you were never there to suntan in your whole umbrella for the rest of your life. So it's also a generation thing. I think it's just a progression, you know. Once you get hit, you become more careful. And I do agree with Lina, whitening is a very big thing, especially in China and Korea and even Thailand. These big markets, if you just go and watch a Chinese drama, all the girls are fair, you know, all of them look perfect. They don't even have a freckle. They don't have anything. They look perfect. And it's the same for the Korean drama. It's the same for Thai drama. You cannot even tell that they're Thai anymore. So I think, again, the fair skin draws a perspective that this person is young and the skin is healthy.
Oh, so it's not so much about like tanness, but more of like the damage done, is it?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of beauty is perspective.
Yeah.
People seek beautiful things. You would not buy a white towel with a black dot because you want to find a white towel. You want to find a white marble table. You would not find something that is flawed. Same thing. Beauty is a perspective of perfection. So white is clean. White is untouched. So that's why white is always pursued. But I do agree with Lina. I mean, I have patients coming in these days who say, I actually like my freckles very much. I think it makes me look young, you know? So don't touch my freckles, okay? You can do anything, but my freckles cannot come off. Sure, we'll keep that. But it's not the rule, it's rare. Because many times when you have pigmentation, it's a sign of something being damaged. So you would want to reverse that. And I actually don't feel that this falls under vanity, even though it falls under beauty, because it's something that you can work on. So if somebody has like central obesity, right, and the person wants to work on that fat, so he exercises more, we won't say he's vain. We'll say that, okay, he wants a beautiful body, and we'll say, go, you know, do your best. If somebody has crooked teeth and they say, okay, I'm going to fix this, I will say, go, do it, do your braces, it's worth it, you know. It's the same thing as skin. If you have a flaw, actually, there's nothing wrong getting it treated. It's not vanity. It is seeking perfection, but there's nothing wrong seeking perfection. We seek perfection for grades. You must have an A, cannot have a B. We seek perfection for like our what's that, NAFA test. You must try to get 25 points, cannot get 23 points. There's nothing wrong with getting perfection. Hence, seeking perfection in beauty is not vanity. That is, to me, under normal. Vanity / dysmorphic disorders, like you see yourself as no good, wrong, those are a complete category lah. Many of times that's the expectation of themselves. I expect to be looking like this socialite or the actress, then that is a bit different from.
So that's more psychological, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
complicated,
So,
very
so
complicated.
Pebbles, you'll have business down the line anyway, so don't worry. If more people have those kind of issues to contend with. Vinay, from the audience has raised a point that Yanni, what you were saying about the whitening skin of Thai, Korean, and Chinese actors is also evident in the Indian series.
It is.
And I don't know how much whiter they can get, or I mean, it kind of loses the flavor. If all the actors everywhere start looking the same, what's the difference then?
No, it's a bit sad. So like somebody told me before, she has 2 daughters, Indian daughters, right? One is a fair Indian daughter that was like her, I think. And the other daughter is a dark Indian daughter like the dad. And the dark Indian daughter will cry and say, I'm not beautiful, mommy, because I'm not fair. So in all skin types, in all countries, in all nationalities, we see the same quest to become fairer. So I actually agree with Lina that it's probably going to last for another 50 years, and it may not be something that we need to change, except that perspective is important. Like, don't be obsessed with the quest to be something that you cannot be, and that will end up with you getting hurt, injured, cheated on, or whatever. So.
And this may work to the detriment of your industry, Yanni, but what about just building up people's confidence in themselves, in who they are, and accepting that this is it? And why not live with that rather than go and look for another way of presenting yourself?
Okay, so I assume that we are talking about category A and B, right? The people who have healthy skin and the normal aging processes. It's the same for the healthy skin. It's the same thing as healthy lifestyle, correcting your eyesight with LASIK, doing braces. It's something that is correctable, and it does affect people. Many patients with acne or pigmentation, they come in eventually not because they wanted to. Sometimes their mother bring them in. Sometimes their colleague ask them, hey, you got so many pimples, why you don't treat? Because it's a condition and it can be treated easily. So I think that everybody can be confident to build themselves up, to continue learning, to be able to share their point of view, to look for the correct employer that appreciates them. Yes, but if you are unhealthy, something is wrong, treat it. You are not going to let a tooth decay and then get an implant. You're going to fix it before that, So that's category A. Category B, about aging. Yes, many people should embrace aging with some minimum education. Use your sunblock, hold your umbrella, that's minimum education. The question is, if you are spending $10,000 for aeroplane ticket to visit South Africa, go to a nature reserve, spend 10 days there, if you are spending $5,000 on a Chanel bag and spending $3,000 on a sofa in your room or a Osim chair, as part of feeling better and dealing with life better, be it a break so that you can go back to work, or a massage so that you can work harder the next day, is it worth spending on yourself, on what you do, what you see, what you present to another person? It's the same thing. You will not go into a job interview. Of course, you can, but you won't go into a job interview wearing singlet and slippers, right? Oh, it's because I'm confident. What I can go for my interview like that. What the straight away the employer think this person a little bit off. You also will not go to interview with bed hair and like wow, just wake out of bed, like not very sure whether you brush teeth or not. You will want to present yourself well. So for category B, for you to look better with a little bit of help, a little bit of aid, I don't think there's anything wrong. It may be in the form of makeup, a moisturizer that's better, sunblock that's better. It may be in the form of a nicer set of clothes, better haircut, more suitable hair color, concealing the white hair, or it may be in coming in for a wrinkle injection so that you are not frowning all the time. I think this is all aids to make people feel a little bit more confident. It's easy to say, feel more confident. Even then, you probably have to buy a book, attend a master class online. So I do think that some sort of beauty regimen is here to stay. It's been there since World War, you know, the lipstick.
I'm sure, yeah, it won't go away. It'll always be there.
So it's about having people there to guide you, such that, you know, yes, I think 2 days ago, there was a liposuction incident in KL. A 23-year-old bride-to-be lost her life in a beauty salon. It's about doing it safely, you know, with advice and with a good review system, you know, with good scientific background. And that's how we have evolved to make anti-aging. And it's exciting and fun.
How about your C category people? I think Patricia has raised a question here about counseling, whether it's something that you talk to your patients before they embark on something like that.
So thankfully in our business, we do non-invasive stuff, so we don't see many of these patients. But I know that in the plastic surgeon kind of field, they see many of these kind of patients, you know, and it's very difficult because a best outcome is a realistic outcome. We are Asian women, right? I'm 163. The best size will be like maybe C cup or something like that. If you come in and you want like a EFGHI cup, this person needs counseling, but whether the plastic surgeon will say, I'll send you to a psychologist, or the plastic surgeon will listen to the patient, is really up to the plastic surgeon and the patient and their patient-doctor relationship, I guess. So again, I think thankfully in Singapore, in a more conservative environment like us, we don't get that many of such patients. They are rare, few and far between. So, but if we do see them, they may need counseling also lah.
Yeah, so there's a question here from Wilenko. It's regarding we are what we eat. It's a beauty and health go hand in hand. It said the food presented to us in supermarkets are not generally healthy, even the vegetables. It's too much pesticides. Organic is too expensive, and are they really organic? So your views on that situation with regards to the food we eat and how that manifests itself in terms of the beauty within. All of you can chip in with that. Lina, what do you think?
I generally do not take canned food. There's a very high level of sodium. I try to cut down on instant noodles, fresh meat, vegetables and fruits. And basically that's it. I don't have a sweet tooth, so I'm not a sugar person. So that part of me is okay, I would say. I do not snack. I take my proper meals. That's just how I'm built. I know some people like to snack, which is okay, but I think just don't overdo it. But I don't know how to put this across. I'll try to be as polite as possible, but I think what you eat today matters tomorrow, because for a person to function properly, good bowel movement is important. It is quite essential to looking good and healthy. And also, you know, coupled with that, you need a fair amount of exercise, you know, in your lifestyle. It will give you that instant glow that even, I think, a bottle of foundation might not be able to achieve. You just have a natural blush. So it's just simple things that you need to adopt, but be disciplined about it. I think that should be fine.
For me, I'm like quite the opposite from Lina. I usually only snack and I only eat chocolate bars. And I kind of realized like I get more pimples the next day if I do that. Like it definitely affects. And I think more than that, like more than just like physical features, it affects my mood as well. I realized like I would crash. I'll get really agitated. I'll get a sugar high and I'll crash and I'll get agitated. So I think like eating like and trying to remain healthy not only helps like your physical health. I'm not sure if I can confirm this. Maybe Dr. like Yanni can confirm this, but like also affects like your mood and maybe how you present yourself. Yeah, which affects both sides of beauty. Like we mentioned at the start, like both physical and your attitude and personality. Yeah.
I agree. Actually, a high sugar diet definitely is not a great plan. We know now that sugar is inflammatory. So the other thing as damaging as compared to UV is actually sugar. So sugar, my father used to tell us, alcohol will damage your brain, don't drink. Now he says, alcohol is not the worst, sugar is the worst, don't eat sugar, it will damage your brain. So low sugar diet and unprocessed food, like what Lina mentioned, is very beneficial to your health. But actually the content, the mix of your food, the way you eat it, it requires consistency and habits, because the food that you eat, the nutrients, the energy actually fuels obviously your most important organs, which are your brain, your muscle. If you skip breakfast and lunch, you will be 1,000 calories short. Your body will seek instant gratification, energy, and therefore your body will grab onto whatever is the next easy thing. And ironically, it may be something like Coke or bubble tea or chocolate, because this food has caffeine, and caffeine gives you extra dopamine release. It makes you feel even better. And then because of vicious cycle, because they give you sugar and calories, but none of these can be actually used. So it's the same analogy. The person drink 3 cans of Coke a day cannot make it. After 1 year, die, But the person who eats like 3 pieces of, or a mix of vegetables 3 times a day will survive, and survive, like, the Japanese old people survive till 120 years old. So what you eat, when you eat it, how you mix up the nutrition, the minerals, the nutrients does make a difference. And I think that there's many good apps, there's many good programs online on YouTube now that teach you how to manage your macronutrients. Once the person understands it and leaves it, have the habit, they'll be addicted to it. They will not want to have a whole plate of fried rice and 1 cup of milkshake for lunch and then go back to work, because it's just too hard, And once you make sure that your breakfast and lunch and dinner is very satisfying, it's really difficult to sit down and eat 1 whole packet of potato chips 2 hours after dinner, because you are already full, and the word is satiety. So I always say, we may think that we are unique. I always have this craving. I always need this. But actually, in terms of human, in terms of DNA, in terms of our makeup, we are not that different from one another. We all need almost the same thing. There's a juice diet, there's the blood type diet, there's a don't know what tomato diet. But those, it's only for a small group of people, and only a small group of people will be successful. The rest of us need a balanced diet. The rest of us need less sugar. It's just a fact. You can listen and don't act on it. It is a fact. It's as real as the earth spins around the sun,
So a couple of issues on that. Vinay asks if you're not a fan of intermittent fasting in that case. And there's also an issue raised by Chris So about Shiseido, not the brand. It's a self-help industry that's called Shiseido, the Shiseido method. I haven't heard of it, so I'm not sure whether you have either. Sorry, Chris, I don't think, has any of you heard of the Shiseido? No. I think we'll have to do a bit more research on that, Chris, sorry. But intermittent fasting?
So intermittent fasting, I actually do believe in intermittent fasting, but the problem with intermittent fasting is that it's like a reboot of a system. It's to boost metabolism and to get the person using their calories better. So as we age, our metabolism drop, and it's about rebooting. It's like changing the engine of a car. Unfortunately, many people don't do intermittent fasting correctly, and it's difficult to do it correctly. So if you look at intermittent fasting, it's not, don't eat for 8 hours, then eat all you want. Bakwa, drink beer, potato chips, because I only can eat this 8 hours, I have to eat what I like, so I must eat all these things. Totally defeats the purpose. So if you speak to somebody who has been successful on intermittent fasting, they are very precise down to the amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins. So somebody tells me, oh, I go on intermittent fasting and keto diet together. They are bound to fail. It's not going to work, because the amount of protein you can have in a meal is fixed. You can't squeeze that much into 8 hours. So my advice to patients who are doing intermittent fasting, get a really good book, get a really good guide, or get a really good app, understand it completely, know how to count your calories, know how to count your protein. You have a very short window to eat, anything between 8 hours to about 12 hours. And during those hours, you need to be able to prepare your own food. You need to be able to know what you're putting in your system. You need to get the enough carbs and calories and proteins to make intermittent fasting work. Otherwise, it's just called starvation. Doesn't work.
On that, can I just ask, like, because for now, right, like taking intermittent fasting more extreme, there are like 3 days, 5 days water fast, you know, and supposedly like I read online that like it's supposed to help anti-aging. I've heard people say, like, because it's supposed to break down like cells you don't eat and stuff. But I like it just doesn't seem, at least to me, like I don't think I'll be able to survive going like even a day without eating. So yeah, is it true that I don't like that it has benefits, like those longer day fasts?
We won't know. Nobody's going to research on this kind of thing and write a clinical paper. But obviously, we've watched the Chinese kung fu drama, and the monk goes into the hill and he does nothing but don't eat for 49 days, and then after that he had some new eureka moment. I think that any extreme diet should be taken with a pinch of salt. Just like when you hear about the 49-day fasting monk, right? You should take it with a pinch of salt. Do what is normal, because 99.9% of us are normal people who need a certain number of calories a day, 3 meals a day. We need to have healthy diet. We need to sleep. And then we need to do the normal going to the toilet, power, and everything. If we are healthy and normal, that's our baseline. The best thing that comes from us is from continuous learning and continuous thinking, reflecting, discussion. Aging, like you said, like Kuttan said, aging is something that is inevitable. We need to learn to deal with it. Don't go the extreme way. You know, Qin Shi Huang didn't make it. I don't think any of us will make it if we don't eat for 3 days. It's important to age gracefully, and you can't do it without being healthy. So I cannot for the love of anything support extreme diets. Just can't.
How about sort of veganism and vegetarianism? There's a question here whether a plant-based diet is better for the skin and the body.
In clinical practice, we haven't seen any difference in plant-based diet adopters versus normal meat eaters. In fact, in clinic, some of my staff are pure vegetarians. Some of them don't even eat egg. They have the same skin issues as us. So it all boils down to personal choice with regards to diet. You know, some people don't eat fish, some people don't eat beef, some people don't eat chicken, some people don't eat any meat. Then they will eat other things. They will have more peas and lentils and other things. Just make sure you have a balanced diet. I think it boils down to that: balanced diet, low sugar, and less processed food.
There's a question here also on the sunblock. Yanni, you mentioned better sunblock. Question is, what is better? There's so many online skincare products. What is your advice on this?
We should ask Lina also. She's reviewed.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, whoever's got advice, I don't. So
first of all, I don't go under the sun, not because of vanity, but because I burn easily and I become red like a lobster. So I can't go under the sun, so I avoid the sun. But I did find, based on reviews, that there's a pretty good super goop sunscreen that one can get from Sephora. So I am actually looking at getting that as well, even though I don't go under the sun. But you know, the UV rays might reach me as well, even though I'm in the shades. But you know, if it's very sunny outside, so that is one aspect that is important as well, to just wear sunscreen when you are out. Yeah, and also I think just to sidetrack a little bit, everything in moderation, and if it works for you personally, and if you can customize it for yourself, then I think it's good enough, because everyone's different. So what might work for me might not work for you. So try to understand yourself a little bit better, and then select beauty products that are suitable for your skin. Doesn't mean that your friend is using something, it's good for you as well. Try it out through trial and error, and then just arrive at something. And if it's really good, stick to it. Just stick to it, and I think that should be fine. Yeah.
Lina. So public service announcement. There is actually no best sunblock in the world. The sunblock that suits you is the good sunblock. A sunblock that you don't mind applying, you don't complain about, it's not too oily for your skin, not too dry, not too irritating. That's the best sunblock. Now, when you use sunblock, you need to use sufficient amount. So we are talking about 3 pumps or something to cover the entire face. So if you buy something that is too expensive, you may not use enough of it. If you buy something that's too oily, you may not use it much also. So find the product that you like and will use generously. In general, there are so many good sunblocks on the market. As long as they are SPF 30 and above, 30 to 50, PA+++, that's the basic requirements. When we are indoors, we don't get much UVB. Hence, you don't get a sunburn or turn red easily indoors. However, UVA, the sun rays that cause aging, that cause pigmentation, still goes through the window. So you do need to use sunblock indoors as well. Now, sunblock, because you need to use so much, you cannot use a sunblock in the form of a foundation, because if you use so much foundation, you will look a little bit weird. You also shouldn't use a sunblock that is a spray-on or a powder for the face, because you can't spray a lot onto the face. You can't powder a lot on the face. Saying that, nowadays there's sprays that are suitable for body, and if you see the blast is huge. It sprays a large amount out to a small area. And also you may be able to use a spray for the body. The sprays, the mist sunblock and the powder sunblock can be used as something to reinforce. If let's say you are going out for lunch at 2 o'clock and you don't want the sunblock to, you don't know whether the sunblock is still there or not, you can use that to reinforce. Yeah, so please invest in a sunblock, everybody. Then you won't need to see me at all.
Pebbles, what are your thoughts on that?
I will start using the sunblock with my mom.
Okay. Kim Lee asks a question regarding isn't health best achieved by honoring our biology? It's an interpretation, but
Can you repeat the question?
Isn't health best achieved by honoring our biology?
Honoring,
Yes.
respecting our biology.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see, I have to, okay, if we were left to be with no medical science and let biology be, I think many women will be dead by 35 years old, and many men will also lose their life quite early because of flu and, pneumonia and lack of antibiotics and lack of vaccination. Many things have happened in the last 100 years to keep us alive for longer. And I feel that that's honoring us. Of course, aesthetics will not keep us alive for longer. I definitely not. But the right diet, the right exercise will. So you can always start there, right diet, right exercise. Use your sunblock, because just like you have to use your toothpaste, the fluoride for your teeth, so that the teeth can last longer, you use sunblock and moisturizer for your face so that your skin can last longer, yeah? So that we can age together with things that we love, our skin, our eyesight, our teeth. What is aging if you have damaged skin, which is itching all the time or which is flaking all the time? What is aging if you have no more teeth to eat what you love? What is aging if you cannot see? I mean, aging has to come with quality of life. So I think now we've moved into the next frontier. We know how to honor our biology and live to 85. Now, can we be a good 70, 75, 80, 85? And the answer is that yes, you can. And you will see your dentist, you will see your ophthalmologist or your optician, and you will see your doctor if you need some education and some help to guide you such that you can make the correct decision to age properly. So honoring your biology is something that is like walking versus driving. It's all enhanced now. And I don't treat it critically. Like I say, I don't treat it in the same category as vanity.
Yeah, almost on time here. So this one issue that a bit of a philosophical question from Dr. Sanjay Kuttan, who's asking, who also raised issues about whether this white is beautiful is also because of our history of white man's colonization to be in that position of power. But I think the question I'd like to hear your views on is, how do the blind describe beauty?
I think definitely through like other senses. I don't know about if you guys watch TikTok or not. Like this new app, this TikTok. Yeah, there's this account basically going around. He's called Cox's husband. Yeah, so basically people are saying like he has many followers and he basically got popular because of his voice. Because his voice is really, really, really low. And even though no one knows what he looks like, everyone in the comments is always commenting like, oh, I'm sure he's very attractive, you know, like because of his voice. So I think like there are many like different aspects. And if I'm not wrong, pheromones also play a part in attractiveness. Yeah, like at least that's what I learned from like psychology. So I think, yeah, besides like visual beauty, I think there's like other ways like we can.
There are many aspects to beauty, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to add to that?
I was told that one of the greatest disabilities is blindness. And that's only because you cannot enjoy beauty of the world, the environment, colors, the magic that God has given us, you know. So I find it hard to comment how a blind person appreciates beauty. I'm sure they do, but I think without the sense of sight, it's a lot more difficult. I think then it comes to, I personally think if I had a blind child, then it comes to the warm hugs and words of affirmation, the feeling of being loved and oxytocin, you know, is being cared, that will translate to beauty. And in their brain, I'm sure they have their version of an image of a beautiful mother. It's just that it may not be the same as you and me, you know, that's my perspective.
I actually went for a blind eating experience where the whole restaurant is pitch dark. You cannot see anything. You are blindfolded and you have to feel your way around the food. I made a mess of everything when they switched on the lights later on. But the entire experience was very surreal because I couldn't see anything at all for the first time of my life. And I feel that it actually made me feel more playful because I can't see anything. So I'll just play, I suppose, you know, with my fork and my spoon and the food. And I don't think I would be that afraid of being judged because I wouldn't know whether you're judging me. So I'm more carefree in that sense, the way I perceive the world through not being able to see anything at all. That was my experience. So it was quite beautiful.
It works probably because you know it's only for X amount of time and after that you will have your sight back and you can carry on. But to live continuously like that might be another issue altogether. But ladies, thank you so much for all your thoughts and your opinions and views. The session has also generated a lot of discussion on the sides, which is wonderful. I think it's great that we're able to have this kind of discussions. Clearly, health and beauty, they're interlinked and we all need to view it as we do in our own way. For me, somebody suggested I need a lot of sunblock given my big face, right? A lot of face, a lot of ground to cover. It might be expensive, so I think I'll resort to going out with an umbrella. Might be safer, cheaper. Thanks again, everybody, for your insights and look forward to seeing you all down the line again. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for the questions as well. Bye.